Howdy, everybody, and welcome back to Pool Box Pals, a podcast about comic books, life, and what I like to call the space in between. I don't know. I was hoping something funny would pop up. My name's Monk. I'm not as funny as I think I am, but
you got me going over here.
And that's my buddy Mad Nerdy. You can find him on the internet at Matt_nerdy. There you go. Just gonna throw your Twitter handle and everything. You don't have Twitter. I don't know what
pal.
I'm doing.
I appreciate that. You're really helping me out there.
I feel like the captain of the Titanic. Except he probably was like pretty competent. Except he did hit an iceberg.
And
so
he went down with the ship. So
well, that's honorable. But also you have to, right? Because if you're the guy that ran a boat, like the boat, into an iceberg, you're like your life's over, right? Like you're like no one's gonna be like you're only gonna be having your own boat somewhere with collecting tuna. But that doesn't sound like a bad life, but it's definitely a fall from grace.
And here we go.
Wow. See, I told you this comic book podcast was about life.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy. Oh my goodness. I wanted to bring back the talking about a drink segment, and then you just brought up a beautiful looking beverage. Sorry, listeners, but
it's
viewers.
a classic Guinness.
Oh, is that okay? Wow, look at you. So you went with a classic. I also went with a classic. I have Turkey Hill iced tea. Turkey Hill is a gas station chain, and I bought this at 6 a.m, and it sat in my car all day, and it doesn't taste great. But it's the only thing I have to drink in my house that's not water. So here we go, baby.
There you go. Warm.
Maybe that's why I'm acting the way I am, because I've already put like microplastic ridden iced tea into my veins.
Sounds about right. That adds up. I don't know the science behind it, but it makes sense.
Oh man. Well, anyways, buddy, how was your week? You doing good?
It was a pretty good week, man. It started off. So my birthday is coming up on Sunday.
Happy Mark Day to
no, stop! It's not my birthday yet. You can wait. But my wonderful wife gave me my birthday present early on Monday, and it was a truck.
A truck. Yeah. I mean, I already was aware of this, but that still like catches me off guard.
I'm still a little bit like shocked about it. It's just I just got like approved to be a home inspector and everything here in the state of Oregon, and I need to get a work truck anyway. And so she was really planning ahead for me. So I was real stoked to see that I got a new truck.
That's awesome, man. I hope you get to do a bunch of driving to your new jobs.
Same here.
That's what that's for. I will say that I showed my girlfriend what your wife got you, and I was like, she just set a real high bar for you there, sweetie. I would imagine in her head she was probably like, you should marry me first, dingbat. But we'll get there. Anyways, dude, I feel like a bunch of comics again, and I was listening. I was gonna go off on another tangent, but I don't want to go off on that tangent. I'm just gonna say I remember us talking at the beginning of this year being like, we're going to keep it to a minimum. We're just going to focus. And then for some reason, I mean, I got a new job. So I was just like, time to go wild, baby. But yeah, I didn't end up getting anything from the Scout Sunday Easter sale. We also didn't say happy Easter and Passovers to our friends who celebrate. But hope it was a good one. But yeah, I didn't get anything from the sale because I'm like, I just don't need to add stuff to my pile. I would have liked to have bought things like just to have them, but like I feel very convicted to buy, like to actually read them. And I will also say this, and then I'm gonna stop talking because I've been talking for far too long. A buddy of mine gave me a trade paperback hardcover of a comic that I had never read that was like super important to him like 2.5 years ago, and it's sitting over there and I haven't read it yet, and it haunts me. I really need to get to that comic. Anyways,
what comic is it?
I couldn't tell you, Mark. I couldn't tell you to save my life. And Alan, if you're listening, I feel like a terrible friend. He's literally one of my best friends, and he's like the sweetest guy in the world. He's probably like, yeah, it's whatever, but I think inside he hates me. But anyways, I've been talking way too much. What are you doing? I did the intro. You get into your pools.
Yeah, so I got 10 this week, which
Ooh.
you said we were trying to like simmer down, but I had my budget for the week, and there was a couple things extra that came out that my shop got, and I was like, I might as well just do the whole thing.
Hey, you
So
got that new truck, so you gotta carry a heavy load with it.
exactly, yeah, I tied it all up in the back. It
Yeah.
was great. Yeah,
It
worked out real
was like a
well.
big hay bale. You just threw it over the side like in a commercial.
Yeah. Uh yeah, so first up I got 8 billion genies.
Hey, wouldn't you
This is
know it? I also got it.
yeah, did you get the same like cover? I think this is
Well,
cover A.
let me tell you about this once I find this comic. I was standing in line with our pal Andy Header,
Ooh,
and
hey Andy.
I said that I didn't really like that cover, the one that you got. I was like, I'm kind of bummed. I'm not really happy about this. And this is the one that he got, and he decided to trade with me.
Man, that
And
one's
I'm
so
like,
cool.
that is so cool. He's not a big dinosaur fan, which
Oh,
I would have pegged him as one because he looks like a man who would ride a dinosaur. And yeah, but I'll take
yeah.
this. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, I wanted to stick to cover A's with this series,
I know.
and but like there were so many just rad variants that I
Hmm.
also wish that I got, but it's nice to have a whole collection with like the same cover letter, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely regret it. And when there's a sale going on and they're like in my comic book shops like backlog, I'm definitely gonna grab them. But I'm
Yeah.
just waiting till then.
Well, and like a little spoiler, this will be coming up soon, but I ordered from Coffee and a Comic recently because there's a series that I really wanted to read that I've heard a little bit of buzz about that Jeff Lemire was doing for DC.
Mm.
And also I had seen that Christian Ward, who he was with Bloodstained Teeth,
Hmm.
he did the like one of the variants for it. I think it's just B. I think they only did A and B for this series, and there's only 3 issues. And Frank had all but three, or all but sorry, all but one of Christian's covers.
Okay.
So I got 2 of those, and then
Nice.
cover A of the other. But I'm still kind of like, man, I really wish I could have gotten all 3 of Christian's covers. But anyway, um, that's coming up soon because that's obviously on delivery, and I'll do a little video on that when I get it. And I got one other thing from him too. Another one. This isn't something I was planning on picking up, but it was the shop had it, I was going to get it, and they had one. It's the Great British Bump Off.
I saw this.
Yeah,
I was intrigued. Sell it
yeah.
to
I
me.
I mean, I honestly don't know a whole lot about it. But I'll give you the reason why I got it here.
Oh,
That's where I wanted to go. Shoot.
you got this.
There we go.
It's Dark Horse, right?
It's from Dark Horse, and there's the blurb for it. It's an Agatha Christie style murder mystery set in the world
Ooh,
of English competitive baking.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's found.
So it was on the key comics list, or the key collector comics list for this week. So that's why I picked that one up.
Yeah.
Another one that was on there, not this cover specifically, I don't think, but I think just the issue in general.
Oh, does it give
Uh,
you like specific covers to look out for?
yeah.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so Guardians of the Galaxy 1. So the main cover for this one looks so rad because it paints it as a Western.
Right, I saw that. That's what I was gonna say.
And I really was hoping to get that one, but this was the only issue. My shop is cutting back. They told me today on like how much they're ordering, and so they basically told me like if you don't order it, like you probably aren't going to get it.
Oh, geez.
So they're not
Well, hey,
ordering
I
a whole
I
lot
think
of
it is.
extras.
Sorry to cut you off there. It is
Yeah.
important to like do those, like to let your shop know. I forget what the
Hmm.
just the cutoff dates. It is important because then the publishers get a kind of good understanding. They can be prepped for second printings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
So it is good to plan ahead, but I also just like the thrill with looking at the key collector comics list of things to get this week and just seeing if they're at the shop. And if they have them, I get them. And so I enjoy that. There's one thing came out today that I really wish my shop had, and they didn't. It came from Image Comics. It was World Tree #1.
Yo,
Did
you
you
mean
get it?
this?
Yeah.
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 I almost got a variant of this cover, but I really enjoy this cover.
Yeah.
This is from James Tinian the Fourth, who did Something is Killing the Children and all that fun and Blue
Yeah.
Book. Um,
He's just becoming one of those guys for me where it's like it's hard to turn down what he writes.
yeah, and I
Um
was saying this to my shop that I really want to get on like an ongoing series, but I don't feel like doing the work to like get caught up on an ongoing series. Like I just wanted to get in on one that's good, and I'm
uh,
pretty sure this is ongoing. And James Tinian just is a fantastic author, so I'm very excited. I'm
yeah.
not a huge fan of the art. It's a little like mid for, like it's not, I don't mean like in the scan of art, it's not mid. Just for me, it's kind of like middle ground between a bunch of stuff of what I like. But
Well, and who did the art for it?
I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, I'm looking at it right here. Jordi Belair.
Yeah, that's nothing that I'm
I'm
familiar with.
I'm yeah, I'm sure he's come up in something we've gotten before, but yeah, so that was something I missed out on. But something I did get, which is the second to last issue, I've recently found out because I don't think I've probably said several times about this series, like I think this is the last issue, but it's done at 13, and this is issue 12 of Little Monsters.
Ah, look
So
at that. I feel like that infinity symbol on the cover is very indicative of how people feel about this series, just from what I've been feeling and from what I've heard on the interweb.
oh
But
yeah.
how do you feel? How are you feeling? You got two more left.
I mean, I've really enjoyed this series. I've enjoyed going through it. I'm excited to get into issue 12. Every single story has been its own story, just like from the perspective of a different one of the little monsters each time, and gives like their background, and then like the main story going on for the present day kind of surrounds them, but it has to do with the group.
Hmm.
So I've really enjoyed it, and again, it's from a pretty all-star team. It's Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. Um, so if you haven't, if you're looking for something new of Jeff's, he's got a lot of new stuff out, and the trades for Little Monsters will be out soon. I know Volume 1's already out, but
Right.
2 should be following. Then another one that I'm pretty excited about is I'm wondering if you got it, because we love this studio, but from Boom Studios, The Seasons Have Teeth.
Yep. I got the same cover that you did. Did you get this because of the same reason that I did?
What did you get it?
Because it's Boom, and I was like, literally when I saw it, and I was just like, oh, another
Oh,
Boom
oh,
thing.
boom.
Boom. It's gonna be so good. I'm like, the cover's cool. The Seasons Have Teeth is an interesting title. Um,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I didn't even crack it open to look at the art, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I
The art
haven't
looks
cracked
great.
mine open either, but so this one's about a retired conflict photographer that lives in grief after an unthinkable tragedy, but everything shifts when the seasons arrive. Each one a godlike creature who he tracks down to capture the perfect picture in hopes of redemption.
Oh, that sounds wild. Um,
Um, yeah,
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with any of this team, which is totally fine with me. You know,
yeah.
I just love a good comic. It looks good, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, I don't recognize any of the names for the creative team for this one, but it's Boom, and as our friends like to say, boom, boom,
Boom, boom,
boom.
boom.
I was on the fence about getting this, but I went ahead and got it anyway. Return of the Jedi Ewoks. So if you all listened last week, oh, you got that cover, nice.
Yeah,
There was
I'm a
two
big
other
fan of this
variants
cover.
I could have gotten of this, but I again just wanted to stick with the main cover. So again, this is like I don't know what's inside it. I haven't looked, but if it's anything like the Job of the Hut one, I just expect it to be through the perspective of some Ewok that had a little blurb in Return of the Jedi.
I'm kind of hoping, if for those of you who are listening, I have on my cover there's like a shamany looking Ewok, and he seems to be telling a story. I really hope it's from his perspective because he looks like just a
Yeah,
jolly old fella. And
yeah,
yeah, so that's what I'm kind of hoping. I just cracked it open. I shouldn't have done it, but it looks good. So
yeah.
very
Because the
excited
other thing
about
too
that.
is like if this is just like Wicket's story of how he came upon, I think it's Wicket. who comes upon Princess Leia, and it's like how he got to that point. Like that'd be really cool, but I'd rather see something from like the shaman, like the
Yeah.
leader of the Ewoks,
It
or
might be
some other
just that,
character.
but hopefully I would love to see just maybe
Yeah,
it's tied in, somehow, but I'm fine with, or maybe he's a part of like on a team. Who knows? We'll find out
who knows?
next week.
Tune
Um,
in next week. Then next, I believe this is my last Star Wars one I got today, but this is High Republic. This is phase 2, so this is issue number 8. Sorry, let me get the light out of there. So this is actually, I found out, a 10 series arc, so it's much shorter than the phase 1 of
okay.
the High Republic, but the story quality has been really great throughout.
Can you hold up that cover again?
Yeah,
Because on it at the top there, if you want to lower it down a little bit, I believe it says "Beware the Leveler,"
yeah,
and I miss that so much on comic books where it just said like, "Behold the level," like just on the side, and it's just there like the bad guy like
and
cowering
it's
through.
hard, not to read that in your mind in Stan Lee's voice.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
every single one of those things, I'm like, oh, this is just Stan Lee
True
talking.
believer. I can't do a good Stanley.
I can't
Sorry.
do it. I can't
Yeah.
either. I wonder if any of our pals can. I put out the challenge to any of our comic book fans in the internet world. Let's hear your
Best
best Stanley.
if whoever's on a video, if you send us a voice clip of you doing that to pullboxpals@gmail.com, which is we never plug. If you want to send us
Or do it
messages,
on Instagram and tag
yeah,
us.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. Whoever does the best one, I will personally send you $3.99 over Venmo so you can buy yourself a comic on me for the best. I don't even remember what we were saying. What did we say this was for?
Just doing a
Stanley
Stanley
impression.
impression.
But it has to be, what were we saying Stanley was saying?
Just like how when you have little blurbs like
Oh,
beware the
right.
leveler on a comic, just some little blurb about
Yeah.
what's
Say,
inside that makes
yeah.
it exciting. I always hear it in Stan Lee's voice, but I
The best
cannot
one
do
wins
a good Stan
$3.99
Lee.
for Monk. $3.99. This is gonna be like
Exactly. You're not
not
four.
no.
No rounding up.
No, I'm not giving you the tax.
You can
That's for the
cover your own tax, or you can just come to Oregon where you don't pay tax. Well,
I'm
we
coming
do. We
back.
do in other ways.
Right.
Next up, I got Emma Kubert's, I think it's Kubert, Stoneheart, issue number 2. I was really surprised by issue 1. It was another one that was on like the key collectors when it came out, and I picked it up, really enjoyed it. I'm glad I stuck with it. And then
Yeah, well, hold on before you go. I saw that on the shelf and I was like, oh, it's issue 2, but it looks good. And I like pulling issues 1 and 2, but I got too many comics, so I was like, nah.
Then I got West of Sundown number 10. I believe this is still going to be ongoing. I'm going to see how this issue goes, but I may be dropping West of Sundown.
Oh, literally as you were talking in my head, I was thinking, I'm like, I'm so happy for Mark. He's stuck onto this. He seems to enjoy it. And then you said that, and then I had that response, and now I'm saying what I'm saying.
Yeah, I have enjoyed it, but it is just like a little like slow for me, and I feel like I labor over reading it sometimes rather than just like reading it to enjoy it.
Sure.
So I don't know. I may drop it, but the covers of all of these have been fantastic. So
Yeah, they're always
I
so
really
good.
and that's from Vaults. And last, I never do this, but I also never really see these. I had the opportunity of getting just the main cover of this, and I wasn't even planning on getting this at first. But when I saw that they had the blank white for the Ninja Turtles Usagi crossover, I was like, I got to get it because this is something I can take with me whenever I go to a con next and find somebody who draws Ninja Turtles or whatever and be like, hey, can you just draw something for me?
That's
And
cool.
you have to pay for all that stuff, but
Sure,
still, it'd be awesome to have like original art.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it would be. So, dude, we got 4 original or 4 of the same comics this week. So,
well, looks like, well, I guess
we'll
be talking about 4
yeah,
things. We'll have 4 features maybe next time.
Oh, look at that! Our pal Andy Hedner said, "Hi guys, I read TMNT/Usagi. It was pretty good. So there you go. Good time to pop in, Andy, and mention that one. Or maybe you've been here for a while, just sitting silently, and that's fine too.
That wraps up all of mine though. So
yeah, so I got 8 comics this week, 4 of which, like I said, we have the same of. This one is probably the one that I'm like most curious about because I think this might be my only. Yeah, this is the only number one that I got that we haven't already talked about. But I'm very interested in whatever this is. It's called Griffin Galaxy's Most Wanted, and this is
Whatnot?
covers B. What's that?
Is that from Whatnot?
Yeah, I thought you said what now. Um,
What now? What's
I
that?
I've never heard of Whatnot before, but
Hmm.
big fan of the
Uh,
art. It's kind of like Rick and Morty esque, which I don't really
oh,
watch Rick and Morty, but
I
there it
like
is.
that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So
Whatnot does I have something of theirs. I have Liquid Kill
okay.
issues
In-
1 and 2 so far.
Well, I mean, we've just been having like so much fun finding like new publishers and like exploring comics that way. So like when I saw this was something I didn't have, don't, pretty new to me. I'm like gonna get it because I just really enjoy these like chances that we've been taking. I feel like they've just been like paying off really well for us.
Yeah.
Um, Andy also said, I read one, Monk got two. I'll let him talk about it first. I enjoyed it. Real quick read, but good. All right, you let me know what it is. Thanks for teasing me for my own spoiler. Oh, I bet I know what it is. Can I? Oh, it's one of two. It's either, I'm going to say it's The Gimmick, number two, because Andy is a wrestler and this is a wrestling comic book. And I would imagine that this would be quick on his to read list. But did you read number one?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No, I think you would really like this because it's about a wrestler who has superpowers and he
I
makes
think
a uh it is
I, I
gimmick number
think
two. Haha, look at
I think
me.
Kyle's reading it too.
Yeah, I think maybe both of them are.
Or maybe
I'm
they
not a
both are.
but yeah, so
Yeah.
this has just been a lot of fun. Definitely recommend checking it out. I mean, I say that like I've read uh both of them, but our pal Andy did, and yeah, he enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to that one. Um, yeah, again, that's from Ahoy Comics. That's like kind of a really an indie one. So like
Yeah.
it'll be nice to go into that as well. Now this came
Do you,
out.
do you
Oh,
know how many
go ahead.
issues that one's gonna be?
No, no, I'm just kind of riding that wave. Hopefully four. Let's cross our fingers and
Let,
say
let,
four.
let's hope.
And yeah, this came out last week. I forgot to grab it. My shop did have it, but I made an oopsie. Mosley number three from Boom Studio. Been enjoying this. Had our buddies over at the Comic Book Laird talk about it. Just heard them talk about it this past week. So sounds good. I'm excited to get into it. This next one is I feel like I keep saying this, but for sure probably the one that I'm looking forward to the most because I'm pretty sure that this is the conclusion for this one as well. But
Oh.
this is Know Your Station number 5. And
I knew you were gonna get that.
yeah, I mean
Uh,
it's pretty obvious. It's one of my
Pretty
favorites
obvious.
right now. It's probably number 2 of everything that I'm reading behind Behold Behemoth. I think is still number 1 for me. Um may, uh but yeah, um, this if I'm being honest, it was like neck and neck with Behold Behemoth, but then it got kind of knocked down because they've just kind of been plateauing the last like issues 3 and 4, kind of very
Oh, okay.
similar issues. So I'm I'm pretty sure this is the conclusion. I'm excited for it. Um, yeah, and I also just love this cover art. I keep just looking back at it, but I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah,
Um,
I really like the because I got issues 1 and 2 of that, and then decided I was going to hold off for the trade for the rest of it, and I got covers B, and the I think they're cover Bs anyways, but they're just so good. I wonder what
yeah,
the cover B for that one was, but anyway,
we'll find out one day.
someday. Uh,
Someday.
well, yeah, I
Uh,
guess that
oh, just
wraps up.
real quick. Andy said, I think 5 issues for the gimmick. It's a mini series. 5 issues seems good. No need to go more than that. I feel like that's all you need for that story. But my buddy, my pal, are you ready to get into the one comic that we have to get into?
Yes, absolutely. I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest.
Oh, really? I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I am too. We should say what it is. It is Nightclub number 4.
Heck yeah.
Why don't you
Uh,
catch us up to speed on this?
well, I mean, like this issue really just kind of like turned on the dime because it picks up right where issue 3 leaves off. You know, they're 3 kids who have just become vampires, and they have they're their social life in high school is not the best because they're not in like the popular crowd. And they kind of start using their new abilities to increase their popularity at school without really revealing what's happened to them. And then at night, they're also going out and fighting crime. And
Mhm.
they went to go fight crime at the end of issue 3, and things turned on them, and they found themselves in trouble. And so this issue just comes right out of the gates of like these three guys, or these three characters, are all in trouble. And I
Yeah.
don't know, it was a really exciting, fast-paced read. And it
Mhm.
wasn't like, it also wasn't so fast-paced that you're just like, man, I went through that quick, but it was just like, it was just a page turner, like, for me, that I just had to keep flipping, going over panel, just almost as fast as I think I've ever read a nightclub issue out of the 4 that have come out. And
Hmm.
something I've also said about this series is each issue keeps getting better.
Mhm.
um, I know that when we talked about issue 3 when it came out, one of our pals was saying that they didn't they didn't agree with me on that, which is like fine.
Uh-oh.
Um,
We're gonna have
but
to settle this outside by
so
the
I know other
dumpsters.
people have other opinions out there, but
Hmm.
this series has been all rise for me, and I've just really enjoyed it. And
Maybe it was me. I don't think it was because I think I agree with that sentiment that no, I definitely agree that it is getting progressively better. I would say this is about the same for me for the last one. I really enjoyed it, but
it's a
um,
dollar 99.
yeah, I mean,
It's just
I
it's hard to say no to that, and especially when
yeah,
it's stamped with Mark Miller's name.
yeah, and I feel like I've been waiting for this issue for some time because I've been waiting. In the first issue, we're kind of introduced to this character who seems to be um insinuating that there's going to be some sort of vampiric war going on,
Yeah,
and we don't really see him much for the rest of the comics until this issue. And I was kind of waiting for this guy to like come up and like be like, you idiots, like to smack some head around, because those kids just like, this is me sounding like an old man, but like those kids just needed their head smacked around a little bit. Like they're
yeah,
doing all the things that like Spider-Man learns not to do, right? To like
yeah.
showboat, to use your power for like your own
Well,
gain, and like all that stuff.
yeah, and like the first 3 issues are very much like coming of age tale. Like, you just got this new, bicycle that's meant for, I don't know, doing jumps. I don't know.
Oh, a
Being
bicycle, that's
extreme
nice.
on it is just an example, but it's like, just as like a teenage kid, like you get something new and like you want to use it and kind of like showboat it a little bit. And that's kind of exactly what they're doing in the first 3 issues. But in this issue, they're facing something that's now against them.
Hmm.
Not just that, like, the bad guys, I guess, are showing up, but also they've kind of revealed bits about who they are to the
Yeah.
public. um and so that, yeah, they have a lot that they're going to get through over these next couple of issues. But yeah, the main character is Danny. Sorry, I was trying to look that up. And but yeah, I've just really enjoyed it. The art's awesome. Art's done by Juanan Ramirez.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that there's like a great balance between like how how much dialogue there is. I think there's like the perfect amount to like just keep it going. That it because of the contents of the issues. I mean, most of this issue is just the ramifications of the last issue. So we're kind of just seeing with them realizing that they can get their butt whipped,
Yeah,
and see like one ends up in the hospital, and then a couple have to like steal an ambulance, so now they're in trouble with the law. Like like their image is kind of changing because they were kind of seen as these like do-gooders, but now that they're there's some more of the mystery has been like you said, like some stuff's been revealed. So
yeah.
it's yeah, there's
Well,
starting to get some cracks in the glass, and I'm excited to see how that plays out mixed in with this war that we only really know a little bit about.
yeah, and I love how the publisher did their summary for this one, because that really has very little to do with the actual comic itself. But it says, "This is already your favorite book. Do we even need to write this text anymore? Okay, well, discover the origin of the evil vampire biker gang and the truth behind the vampire who bit Danny back in issue 1." So I was wrong about that. that the biker gang leader is not the same guy that bit Danny. I kind of somehow got that confused.
Okay.
And then it goes, what was he up to? It's not what you think. And they put the note in that this book is half the price of less good ones. That's what it says.
Oh, geez. I'm not a fan of that blurb at all. It's just like, yeah, I mean, this is your favorite comic, right? I mean, it's $1, it's $2. What, are you not gonna buy it, you moron?
It's my favorite for the price.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it's my favorite
but
$2.99 or
it's
$1.99 comic.
but
I
it
don't
is
like that
I
writer.
do really enjoy it though. On top of
Yeah,
that, like if it was a normal like $4.99, it obviously would take away a little bit of the hype about it, I think.
I would agree.
And then
Especially
yeah,
during
like
that.
just like kind of another thing too is just to kind of lay a little more into like the difference between issue 4 and the previous 3 is like the first 3 issues, they kind of are like a classic comic, like the 4 colored comics that, you know, or like if you go back and read issue 1 of Daredevil from 1964, like it's just it kind of has more of that tone to it. But now we're getting into like the realms of like the vampire like horror of this series, and that's what this jump to issue 4 is it's diving into like the scary aspect of what's going on. Yeah, so
All right. I'm ready to move on. I feel like I have enough. I'm just
you got nothing left on this one. That's
no,
fine.
man. That
um
that blurb really sucked it out of me. But
the
what do
publisher
you
summary.
yeah, I don't know who wrote that, but that's not no good. That was no good. But you must have read something that was good this week. What's something that you read that was good? That's preferably something that's in the title of the episode.
Something else I read this week that has just been getting better, but it hasn't been like an all rise as this previous one we talked about. But the Samurai Doggy #5 I read over this last week.
I like how you
Again,
picked the one that's not in the title. When I said pick one that's in the title, you picked
oh,
the
you want
one
it?
that wasn't. It's fine. No, just keep going if that's the one that you were going to talk about. I just thought that was silly. That I just wanted to
Oh,
point that out.
yeah. So this is part of the and more section, I guess. Samurai Doggy has also just kind of come to like this crossroads in a way where you had a series building towards one thing, but now Samurai Doggy is actually facing aspects of his past that he wasn't expecting.
Mm.
And it made issue 5 make issues 1 through 4 a lot better to me. Because I
Okay.
really struggled like staying on this one. Like I almost dropped it after issue 3 because I was just like, this was a Dragon Ball Z episode. Like that's what I felt about the first 3 issues, was just like, cool, they're in the middle of a fight and we're left on a cliffhanger in the middle of a fight. Oh, cool. Issue 2 is still just the drawn out fight and it's not over. Oh, issue 3, finally the fight ends. Then issue 4, something really bad happens that kind of turned everything on its heels. And issue 5 again did that kind of same thing, but it just took it another step further. So
Nice.
I'm really enjoying it. I again I didn't write down anybody's names for my notes. I did really bad on my notes this week. So
Hey, that's okay. I did too because I literally put nothing. So
I
that's
guess it's
okay.
right behind me. But yeah, it's written by Chris Tex and the art is done by Santos. And your dog seems to be really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, dog got real stoked. They heard Samurai Doggy, and then they had a very long delay, and then they
Their
got
hero.
excited. That's right.
Samurai, yeah. The hero
They
of
were
dogs.
they were telling me that. Nice, man. Well, good. I'm glad. I like when like you're reading something like that, and like you like something unlocks, and like it gets better retrospectively. I think that's dope. I mean, I
Yeah.
had that same experience with Behold Behemoth, and that was already my like favorite comic. So
Yeah.
like I was just reading it, and then got to issue #3, and then everything clicked, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a good story.
Yeah. But I don't have much more to say. I really wanted to mention Samurai Doggy because I think it does deserve credit. more than I think I've given it in the past episodes talking about the previous issues. So
Nice.
yeah. What'd you read this week that I guess will probably be in the title that you're excited about?
So mine is definitely in the title because this is my patented banger of the week. Kingjira, Hungry Like a Monster.
And this came out of your direct order from Scout, right?
C. Yeah, and I mean, a huge reason that I got it is because it says it right there. Grab me, I'm a one-shot story. And also just like the cover, like is just reminiscent of like covers that I love. So it was just like perfect little thing, like it's so cool to just have this, because I don't if I just wanted to, go on vacation or like whatever, I just have like one little book that I can bring with me or like four one little books, like it's
Yeah.
great. And my favorite thing about this comic is that it's pretty much accessible to like everyone who like can see, because there's almost no dialogue in this, and any of the dialogue is just like clash and crash and spam, like bam, and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
there's no like even thought bubbles are just like images. And so for me that's really cool because I
That's
think,
awesome. Can you
it's
hold that up again?
I lost that page because I took my finger
No
out of it.
matter any page.
Any page, I found another page that's similar. But
Cool.
yeah, I mean you can see it's great art. I like, again, the whole thing was just a fantastic experience, and similar to Everything Sucks Real Gamer Hours, which was just one person. This again is one person besides the editing, so it's all Marco Fantielli, and edited by Andrea Lorenzo Malarieri. Yeah, and I know in like in the East, they like in mangas, a lot of that is all just like one person can like doing the whole thing. So it's really cool to see that like come into the West, especially under like Eastern themes of what are those things called? Kaijus.
Yeah.
So the basic story of this is pretty simple. There's a monster, and it's King Jira, and it's on a rampage, and it's hungry, and it sees a billboard of a pizza, and it bites it, and it's not real pizza, and it gets angry. And it I don't want to spoil how the conflict is resolved, but like again, like it's not the like deepest, like this isn't like reading like Freud or Carl Jung or anything like that, but it's just a fun experience of like sitting down and just being like, that's really cool, this art is phenomenal, like.
Mhm.
So it
Yeah.
was it was just such a good comic experience, and that's why it gets the hashtag banger of the week.
Well, and like the art kind of, I mean, I haven't read it, so I can't really speak into the other creators, but at least for the colorist on that one, it does
It's
remind
all
me
the
a
same
little bit
person.
it's
All
all the
is
same person. So
Yeah.
yeah, like great work. Like
Yeah.
if that's just one person doing the whole thing, like that's awesome. But I was gonna say the coloration of it reminds me of Bloodstained Teeth a little bit, just with real poppy, bright colors.
Yeah, but it also has like a little bit of a griminess to it because there's like a bubbliness to it. So like
Mm,
the lines aren't so like soft or whatever, but you can just see like it's a little bit similar to a Righteous Thirst for Vengeance insofar as there's just a lot of details. Or maybe even like I forget what that Red Room, and just how like there's just an unnecessary amount of detail put into it. And there goes my puppy again, going on and on about something. But yeah, that's definitely my the
that's
one that I
your banger of
banger
the
of the
week.
week. We did it.
Banger of the week.
Banger of the bow, 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 bow. All right, I'm done.
Well, we need a button for that. Just
Too many
whenever it's
buttons.
our banger of the week, because
I thought
it's
about looking
our
into
new
that, but I
thing.
feel like I would just go down it's like a psychotic rabbit hole and just like add like every sound under the sun, and then most of my time here would just be like spent clicking on things on the side and just annoying you in the middle of your like
Oh, wrong one. Oh, sorry.
oh oh. Um anyways, buddy, you want to get into another one?
Yeah. So this next one, this one I posted about, but and it is in the title, the nasty. Um, I really like once closed the book, I really enjoyed the nasty. I didn't really know, like I had read the blurb about it, the pub summary, like, and it had a good kind of catch in that, because it says calling all scary movie fans. I like scary movies. I'm not the type that like sits down every week and I'm watching like B film scary movies. I typically watch what's, you know, recommended. Um, and so the Nasty picks up, I think, in the 80s, and it's about this kid named man, they call him
They call
Rabbit. They call him
Rabbit?
Thumper, the Thumper.
Thumper. There we
Yeah.
go. Old
Uh,
Thumper.
it's his nickname because he's bullied throughout school, and he's one of those kids that's always thumping his leg on the ground, which is how he got his nickname from his perpetrators. I don't know.
That just sounds
His
like something
bullies.
that like your grandfather would name you. Just like while you're sitting at like a dinner table and your legs thumping, you just be like, calm down, Thumper. And then
Yeah,
that's just with how it would stick.
but like the issue kind of starts off showing he doesn't really have like actual friends. He'd rather just stay inside and watch scary movies. There's something going on with his childhood and his like, I think he's being raised by a single mom who's just like struggling through life. Like that's kind of how she's depicted. Um, and so he finds friends though at the the video rental store. You know, the blockbusters back in the 80s and 90s. Um, and so then the main story, like once you get caught up to speed, it's now like 1994, and Thumper's coming back from like his first break from college. He's now at uni. This all takes place in Scotland. And so again, it's called the Nasty because it has to do with like the UK and the video nasties back in like when America was also going through its like moral right. Like the UK was also going through something similar, and they were pretty much banning movies that didn't fit their moral code, I guess.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not British, so I don't know a whole
What?
lot about what was going on there, but
Well, that's news to me.
my brother-in-law knows a lot about it, and he was kind of filling me in. And when I was talking to him about this one, he's like, "Oh yeah, like the video nasties era, like he knew all about it."
Interesting.
So yeah, he comes back from university, and his friends still, like a friend of his owns the video rental shop, and like they're specific to like the horror genre. And it's also like going under because people aren't renting horror is kind of losing favor with people. And then things like Hollywood Video and Blockbuster are kind of like on the rise. I don't know what those were over there, but that's what they were for us. And so they kind of get a hold of this this video nasty that they're not supposed to have, and they put it in their player to watch it, and it kind of becomes the Ring-esque, where it's like they put something in that's kind of cursed.
Yeah.
And so something else that was introduced at the beginning of the issue is Thumper has an imaginary friend who is a character from his favorite horror film that he watched as a kid. And so he's always carried this kind of Jason-esque type person along with him. And even into his older college days, he still has this imaginary friend. And when he's walking out of the video store after their failed attempt of watching this video that got eaten up by the player, but still had some weird effect going on, his imaginary friend, I guess you could say, becomes corporeal.
Oh,
He picks something up and throws it, and it ends with him being like, "You've never done that before."
that's interesting.
And so when it ended, I was just like, wow, like I'm staying on this. I'm excited for issue 2 to come out. I really like the art for it. The writing is really good. It's written by John Lees. The art is done by George. The art and coloring is done by George Cambadeus. I don't know if I'm saying this.
Cambadeus.
And then we got a legendary letter in Jim Campbell.
Nice.
Yeah.
Holla.
So yeah, if you are into like the horror genre, but you want a kind of a twist on it being like the real realm crossing over with the imaginary horror realm, like that's kind of where this story is at.
Oh, that sounds interesting. And I do regret not picking that up. So I think you'll have to let me know how issue 2 is. So maybe I'll jump in on it, but maybe I'll just wait for the trade. But that does sound good.
And then this is put out by Vault's imprint Nightfall.
Nice.
So it's a Nightfall presents the Nasty.
That's pretty dope.
I'm gonna pull it down just to show the cover one more time. So
Okay.
If you're watching, can see it.
Oh,
But
oh,
this was, this
oh.
is cover B that I got, and you can see he's all entwined in like the videotape.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I
That's
thought you might
dope.
appreciate that for the cover and kind of how it alludes to the story inside.
Yeah. I think that's pretty sick. Well, something that I think is also pretty sick is this comic that I picked up last week, Hairball #1. When I picked up this comic last week, I didn't realize that there was a finger on the cover because I was just so enthralled with
Oh
like
yeah.
the cat. I'm like, that's a great like painting of a cat, and I didn't realize that there was a finger at the bottom. Um, so I did post about this on Instagram as well, but for me, like this was such a nice like I love a good poetic experience when it comes to a comic, and that's how I felt about like Caffeinated Hearts. Definitely was that. Also, like Where's the Farthest Place from Here kind of had that a little bit too. It definitely
Yeah,
had
yeah,
that
yeah.
like storied like what's that called, an epic kind of sense to it. Like it's a poem but it's larger and it contains characters and all of that. This was definitely very much just like even how the panels were laid out. So the story is kind of told between cutting in between seeing this young girl whose name I forget. Oof, look at us both not remembering names. She's getting adopted into this house that's not really great. The father is works, has to work a lot because the adopted daughter has some medical issues and they have to pay for everything. So he's very resentful of that because he didn't really want the kid. His wife talked him into it. And so a lot of the story is cutting in between seeing that story and then going into like a therapy session with the girl. So
Mm,
you see in this panel, it does this a lot throughout this. It just cuts to her and like these four panels. That's her talking to the therapist. So like
okay.
um and then it's really cool. Like I said, it just cuts back and forth. Like the last thing she says in this panel is I'm not sure. And then the next one it cuts back to her house life. It's the wife asking the husband, how late did you stay out? And he said, I'm not sure. So it's just even like this thing of like showing how like kids pick up on stuff. And
Yeah.
it's very much written from like we're watching this girl like in her house. I realized I hadn't even talked about the cat yet. And then where the cat comes in along is the cat was adopted on the same day as her. When she came home, the cat was like sitting on the doorstep and they couldn't get it to go away. So they just decided to let the girl have a cat. And I can't remember the cat's name. So I'm sorry. This is a very good comic. I'm not good at remembering names. Um, but yeah, so the cat seems to kind of be like an imaginary friend. Like it's kind of like that
Mhm.
stereotype where like the girl's like, "Oh, the cat's been telling me things." And they're just like, "Oh, that's not how real life works." Um, but yeah, the cat's definitely got something going on with it. I mean, just from the cover alone, it has a finger sitting in front of it and like an ominous stare. But some it during the issue, I won't spoil this at all. I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, it does. It does this. It makes a creepy face where one of its pupils just turns sideways.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's very unsettling, but it was a lot of fun.
that's gonna
I'm
be in
I'm
my dreams tonight.
oh, well, there you go. Think about your eye turning sideways. That's a
Ugh,
terrible thought. Uh,
that's horrible.
but
Um,
there you go. That's for everybody. That was Hairball. I didn't even say who that was by. It was by
it's
Matt King, Tyler
yeah.
Jenkins, and Hillary Jenkins. Tyler Jenkins, Hillary Jenkins, who they've done something before that we've been on. Like,
So Matt Kind's I don't Kins
yeah, however you said it.
he's who worked with Keanu Reeves on Berserker.
All right, I knew that, but I couldn't remember where Tyler and Hillary are from because I know I've had them before, but I'll look into it while you talk about whatever comic you want to talk about next.
Well, my next one is my banger of the week.
Oh wow, we got a banger of the week from
Yeah,
Mark.
so yeah, a couple weeks ago, I had mentioned that I'm going back through like Daredevil, and I read. I'm kind of using the Go Collect website just to see what they label as like key issues of Daredevil, and so I read I think the first two arcs of like the original run from 1964, and I was like, this is fun and all, and like I really do enjoy like the history of like the introducing of certain characters and how it's done in a very like innocent Stanley way back in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wanted a little more like something to chew on, and so
Mm-hmm.
I jumped up and I've read through all of Frank Miller's work before, and something that I realized I had read at one time, but I don't think I read the entire run, was Kevin Smith's run. And so
Okay. Oh.
he wrote the first two arcs of volume 2 of Daredevil, which started in I think 98.
Okay.
And his arc, or his overall, like if you get the trade paperback for his 8 issues that he did, it's called Guardian Devil. And so the issues that I had read of this one, I actually had only read one of them before, and it's the one where Karen dies.
Mm.
And so that's included in this. I had no idea that like Kevin Smith was the one who wrote that story.
I
Like
didn't know that either.
I had read that one long, long ago. Um, and you know, I never was like huge into collecting Daredevil back in the day, but he's, you know, with everything that's become of Daredevil in the MCU, and then like the Netflix series that came out, it really like ramped up Daredevil. And so I want to get into him, especially with the new show coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, Guardian Devil is just a really fun series to read through. The art is incredible. Uh, who did? I should have
Yeah.
written that down. Who did the art for it?
You can keep talking. I'll look it up. But I was gonna ask you that.
But yeah, it's another series that really digs into the Catholic Matt Murdock, which really wasn't introduced by Frank Miller, but Frank Miller is the first one to put like a lot of emphasis on it, and Kevin Smith kind of kept rolling with that in this series.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it just has so much to do with like Daredevil dealing with his own like inner demons, I guess.
Sure.
And
It seems to be illustrated, just not to cut you off, by Joe Quinceadea and Jimmy Paltiomi.
yeah, that's right.
There you go.
And also what was fun too about like reading through the volume, because it's available on Comixology. But like all the other creators like wrote blurbs about like what it was like having Kevin Smith like write this series, and just how much he changed the game, because
Interesting.
he had already been like putting out his own movies and whatnot, obviously. And he decided that he wanted to get into the comic book world. And so issue 1, when it says, you know, the creative team on page 1, it says, Kevin, you asked for him and got him, Smith.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, the villain of this turns out to be Mysterio, and this is also the series in which
Ooh.
Mysterio dies, which
Oh,
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either.
So, but yeah, I really enjoyed reading through that. I'm still going through the rest of this volume.
I don't
Volume
even think I
2.
knew Daredevil ever fought Mysterio. That sounds dope. I think
Yeah,
that would be a great. I mean, with the sensory and like that's obviously how like Spider-Man fights him and stuff. Like, but yeah, I think that's a cool pairing. Good job, Kevin.
yeah,
He asked for him, Smith.
yeah. We asked for him, we got him.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that. So if you haven't read Daredevil before, and you haven't read Frank Miller's, like Frank Miller has a lot that he wrote. He wrote for like a few years. If you're just looking for a quick like catch me up on Daredevil, I would recommend reading Guardian Devil, because it's only 8 issues, and if you have a Comixology, you can get on there and download that volume and breeze right through it.
That sounds dope. I'm glad that you're doing that because I'm very like I wish I could go back and do that and dive in on those like old series and explore it, because that's something I wish we did with our podcast, was go back and look at old arcs, but I just feel like I just don't have the time to do that because there's so many comics that I want to read that are hot and fresh now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But
it makes
speaking
sense.
of
We'll throw them out every once in a while, like I did just now with my banger of
right.
the week.
Oh, I just made a silly thing with my face. Man, so like this has definitely been like such a sleeper hit for me, but I Hate This Place has just been like continually a good series. and I don't see a lot of people talking about it. I don't really go over the board about it, but it's like, I mean, this might even be ongoing. It might be, but this in issue 7, so we start to get some answers to stuff that's happening. The story follows 2 ladies who live on a farm, they're a couple, they inherited this farm, they moved there to kind of settle down, and it's haunted and it's cursed. And so this issue, we're kind of starting it at the end, it kind of teases that like something bigger is happening here, and it's cool because they haven't really done that yet. It's just kind of been exploring the spookiness of the farm. So it's good on them for like having like the patience to wait that long to introduce like the what was happening. I'm not even sure that that's what they've done yet, but yeah, it's definitely just been like good. Like it's consistently good. Every issue, like even if it's not like progressing the story, it's still just a fun little thing to jaunt through.
Well,
But
I don't know, because that is one that I dropped, as
mhm.
I may have to.
And I'm sure the first arc's probably on Comixology by now. So, but I mean, we're getting close to the end of the hour. I still got a lot more that I want to talk about. So, what else do you got to say?
What do I got behind me?
Well, that's a great question.
And okay, here's we'll bring this up.
Oh
I
boy.
messaged you after I read it, but and then I read one review which seemed to agree with me, and then I read a bunch of other reviews that seemed to disagree with me.
Oh,
But Chip Zdarsky's Batman,
mm,
and like so I got it back here, but this was issue 134, and I don't know, maybe I haven't read enough Zdarsky, but like the reviews of it that really praised this issue really talked about just his ability to keep driving you further and further into the story.
mm.
And he's done some pretty, I don't know, elaborate things to Batman in this run that,
Yeah, you were telling me about it. We won't spoil it, but yeah, it's definitely, we'll say elaborate
yeah.
is a good way to put it.
And it's just like, I don't know, I just like, something about, for me, just hasn't, like, I really enjoyed like his first arc with goodness
The
gracious,
machine killer, whatever, failsafe.
Failsafe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that first arc, but his second arc that he's been doing, I was just like, man, should I stay with this? But most people seem to really like it. Hit those issues on the secret source of League of Comic Geeks. It's always voted.
You just threw it out there. The secret
Shoot, I
source.
spoiled it.
Oh no.
It's always getting like the #1 comic of the week, like voted. At least I think it's always in like the top 5 at least.
But I wonder if that's just because of the majority of people that read it.
Yeah,
You know,
well, I mean, a lot more people read DC and Marvel than they do indies, and
right.
so, but they have an indie category as well. So,
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
but yeah,
So
so I've been reading Batman. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if Andy's reading it or not, but
yeah,
he
let
is.
us know
Let
and
me
let
know.
us know what you think. But so here's something that, I mean, as you know, I used to be on Batman, jumped off this. I almost fell off this. I know you said you're waiting for the trade paperback. I'm pretty sure this is 4. So the next one is going to be out soon. But this is Bulls of Beacon Hill.
Mm.
I was just kind of letting this slowly drift on my to read pile. But last night I was bored and I didn't really feel like reading any of the comics that I read, like rereading any of the comics. I felt like reading something new. And I'm like, well, I have Bulls of Beacon Hill sent up there. I might as well like give it a go. And I like dove back into it. I'm so glad that I did. I really enjoyed it.
So you had issue 2 and 3 sitting on in your stack.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely started letting it pile up, but it was nice. It was nice to be able to like hit those 2 back to back, especially when I was enjoying them.
Yeah.
We just kind of see like for just a quick catch up, it's about a son of a mobster who is trying to separate himself from his father and has done pretty successfully about that. He's about to go public for running for city council, and he's aware this is city of Boston. It's not just like some small podunk town, but like he knows that like this will come to light, and so he's just kind of been preparing for that. But now it's pretty much that him and his dad are like at actual war, because his dad sent out a hit on him, and now he's like, well, now I have to retaliate. And his boyfriend pointed out, he's like, well, look, the violence lives inside of you too, because your first response is to retaliate, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was good because it like actually gave some depth. It did a lot of stuff that I think the Godfather like tries to point at, but the Godfather is such a big thing to consume, about this like carrying on a family legacy and not thinking that you are connected to it, even though you're denying it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bulls of Beacon Hill, I'm very glad that I stuck on it. The next issue, like I said, will come out soon, and yeah,
Well,
I'll report back.
it's good that you got into your stack of built up comics. I did a lot of that this last week.
Nice.
I destroyed a lot of stuff that had I finished Jurassic League
Oh
finally.
wow.
Yeah. The last 2 issues have been sitting there forever. I finished Sword of Azrael. The last 3 issues had been sitting on my thing forever. What else?
Look
I
at
also
you.
finished I read Red Wraith on
Right.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yep. You posted about that on Scout Comics Sunday. Look at all of us and our hashtags and our in jokes that we have.
Yeah,
Well, hey,
so
I got
now,
2 more I want to say something about. Am I
yeah,
good to
go for
go?
it, man.
So, Where Monsters Lie number 3. This is the penultimate issue, the second to last issue, and this has just been so like a lot of fun. My comic book shop guy turned me onto this. It's about a cul-de-sac of serial killers that they've just been outed by the cops. One of the rules is you're not allowed to do any murdering in the area, and one of the guys brought people back to his house to like torture them, and they escaped. And they thought they killed everybody, but one got away and brought everyone back. One of the cops is connected to one of the killers, and it's just pretty much just been a bloodbath the entire time, like since issue 1 of just it's been this just one scene. It's literally set probably within a 30-minute time frame of just
Jeez.
been like people going back and forth just killing each other. So like yeah, and that's just all it's been. But it's just been a lot of fun because it's like the Suicide Squad. It's the best aspect of like the Suicide Squad of just killing off these people, you know.
Yeah. That is one I'm keeping my eye out for the trade for.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. And I also, just the last thing that I want to talk about is Pop Scars, from Sumerian. I'm going to report back on this. I just wanted to throw this out that I read it. I enjoyed it. It was very interesting. The premise is that there's like a Hollywood producer who wrote us up with another Hollywood producer. He screwed over the other guy, and then so that guy wants to get him back. The guy who the main like the guy who's the big dog now, his daughter is also trying to get revenge, and then like there turns out to be like a team of people who are trying to do this because she's just trying to go in looking like that and then just like kill him, and he's like, there, you can't, that's just a suicide mission, and there's better ways to like torture people than to just kill them, you know. Like
Yeah.
you can make someone's life a living hell. It The dialogue was, the concept of the story and the way that it was presented was very unlike anything that I had like kind of seen elsewhere in the story world, because it's not focused on like something supernatural or like, just love or whatever. It's just like this revenge tale about like a Hollywood producer, you know. It's
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess now that I'm saying it sounds a little bit like a Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, some stuff in there, but it's not like that.
It's all relative.
Oh boy. Well, hey, those are the comics. We got something special. Oh, hey, look at that. It's our buddy Ross swung by saying it's a bunch of wackos trying to off him. I don't. Oh yeah, you're right. We were talking about Pop Scars for a second. I was like, what comic did I talk about? But yeah, you're 100%. It is just a bunch of wackos who like kind of. I mean, obviously, like they're not hitmen, so they don't know what they're doing. So it's kind of just a lot of like bumbling into this whatever it is that they're going to be doing to this person.
Yeah.
But man, we have a couple of cool stuff happening next week. This is just a teaser. just look forward to next week. We have a lot of stuff happening. So
Yeah. And speaking of next week, you know of anything coming out next week you're excited about?
no, but I hope not, because I feel like it's going to be a hot minute until you and I get a chance to like really talk about it. And we've had a lot of really good comics this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Well,
always, okay, we're having guests on. That's what's happening next week. Just kind of going to throw that away.
anybody who's been paying attention has come to realize
To
every fifth episode, which I also realized the title of this one says episode
45.
45.
Oh
but
my
it's
goodness, the
or
title
40.
is getting so much play in this. Sorry
Yeah.
about that, everybody.
So this is actually episode 44.
I
But
ruined
yes,
Christmas.
45 we will be having a guest on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so next week though, there's one thing I'm looking forward to, and I hope that it remains true. From Aftershock, Chicken Devils #3 is
Oh,
supposedly coming out, but don't hold me to it.
I won't. I won't.
So if it is out next week, I'm very excited for it. But yeah, that's all I got.
Well, hey, are you ready to pull up your pants really tight, because it's really hard to like saddle something if your pants are drooping low and jump on
No,
this
you gotta.
horse and ride it into town?
I was just about to do that. I was about to hike up my pants so I can ride on out of this town.
It's
with my
been
horse.
really hard to try to come up with new euphemisms for bringing a horse into town every week. But I'm just saying, let's throw that one out there, that it's, I'm not a improvised man. I don't know what the heck's happening
I've never done improv. I think it's obvious.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. All right, buddy, you wanna bring us home on this horse that we're sitting on and we're hurting its back because we're two full-grown men?
Yeah, well, over here at the Pullbox Pals, we love ABJ. So
That's
thank
right.
you, Anthony Blackwell Jr., for providing a platform for us to do this on. If you're looking for us on socials, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, all at the Pullbox Pals. You can find me at mad_nerdy on Instagram. You can find Monk at that Monk guy on Instagram. And yeah, we love chatting comics throughout the week. So hit us up with some comments. If you're watching or listening, please make sure to like, subscribe if you haven't. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, like, leave us a review. It really helps us out.
Bunch. So. And also, don't forget, send us a voice recording of you doing a Stan Lee impression, saying the cover of a comic book that you can either make up or take from
maybe
real
your
life.
Favorite. Yeah.
And I will send you $3.99 to treat yourself to a comic, as long as you have Venmo. Or Facebook. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear your thoughts on this week's books. Well, buddy, you're gonna have to wait 2 weeks to hear it. But maybe something will happen in between and we'll get a chance to a chitty chat. We're giving a little bit more tease than we'd like to. But hey, I've been screwing up, probably intentionally and unintentionally, our catchphrase for this season as the exit. So this week I want to do it proper. I don't know what just happened there. I just screwed up in the middle of everything and hit the outro. Right. Well, I said I wanted to do it proper. I almost made it through this whole episode without putting my foot in my mouth.
And there you go.
There we go. Well, friends, pals, and everyone in outer space who's listening, I haven't read comic like these in years.